Tottenham really do get battered everywhere they go. 1-0 Chelsea. Enzo Fernández bullet header into the goal. We're going to get into all of that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to From the Shed End. If you are new here and you can see that we're on the road to 800 subscribers, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. You leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you're feeling generous, you give us a like on this video as well. All of that helps the channel grow, so we appreciate all of that. So make sure you subscribe. There's a lot of people that watch these videos that are not subscribing, so it takes 2 seconds. Just hit that subscribe button and give us your thoughts in the comment section as well. Now, two good things came from yesterday's performance for me. One, we beat Spurs because they're Spursy and we love to beat Spurs. And second of all, we got to see some of the players that had been injured return back into the team. Some of them starting, some of them from the bench. But I feel like this was a game. Let's go straight away to the lineup, because the lineup really was one that we was hoping for, I think, in some aspects, and one that wasn't very much far from the imaginations of a lot of our predicted lineup. So we went with Sánchez in goal. We saw Malo Gusto, who actually was a surprise for me. I did essentially think, Reece James, who played in those England internationals, would get the nod ahead of Malo Gusto. But I was impressed with Gusto in the game as well. So I think he deserved his chance to come in. Now, Trevor Chalobah, Levi Colwill centre-back partnership looked very, very solid at the back. Marc Cucurella, as we said in the match preview, was going to be the only option at left back. Enzo, Moisés Caicedo in the midfield. The front three of Neto, Cole Palmer, and Jadon Sancho, with Nicholas Jackson finally returning back to the Chelsea lineup after a stint of injury. Now, we started the game really well against Spurs. I was really, really impressed with how we started the game. In fact, actually, first minute into the game, you could almost sense and see why we needed Nicholas Jackson, or we needed a traditional number 9 to feed him and make those centre-backs work for Spurs. And Nicholas Jackson done that a lot throughout that game. Now, some will say that he should have taken that chance a bit better in the first minute, but it comes over the top. He's trying to control it and also run towards goal. It is a difficult, moment for Jackson. But I thought as well, even away from that, just that one moment, I thought Nicholas Jackson throughout that game was able to split the centre-backs apart for Spurs, and it just gave us opportunities. He was able to mark them out of the positions, get them away from the danger of the ball coming in, and that's essentially how we got our goal as well. If you look back, you'll see that Nicholas Jackson's the one that makes the run, makes the space. Nicholas Jackson, Enzo straight into the box. It was a brilliant little bit of play from us in that moment. But in that first half, you did sense a bit of frustration, because as much as we were playing well, even the possession, I think, was 50-50, leading up to half time. We just didn't take those chances. We had a couple of snatched chances in that first half, and you did think to yourself, is it going to be one of those nights when we just don't score and we allow Spurs to score a goal? And you did wonder, is it going to be one of those games? And even the chances that we did have that we didn't take, I thought we should have at least taken one of them. It didn't seem like we were going to score at any point. But I think if you remember as well, I think there was a really, really good goal, really good chance, from Jadon Sancho in that first half, who I thought had a sort of mixed game. 1 minute I thought he was playing really well, but as the game went on, you could see he was slowing the game down. And I don't know if that's an Enzo Maresca tactic, a thing that Enzo Maresca's told him to do, but whenever there's the counter attack is on, or the fact that we're trying to progress the ball forward, it almost feels like Jadon Sancho wants to slow everything down, and he wants to kind of bide his time a little bit. And sometimes the pass is on, sometimes the pass to Palmer's on, Jackson, Neto. It just doesn't seem like he was. And, he eventually gets subbed off. But there was a moment for Sanchez, and it was a really good save from Vicario in that first half. Fingertip save. Probably the only real chance and opening that Sanchez created for himself and was able to take. But Cole Palmer looked himself again. I think we have to credit him. I think Cole Palmer looks like he was getting back to that level. One of the things that I said in the previews, that we needed to see Cole Palmer back to the level that we know that he can produce and perform on a regular basis for us. We got to see a glimpse of that. And we have to remember he's been out injured for a while as well. So to get back to that match fitness is going to take some time. But there was signs of it there yesterday that he's clearly back where we think he might be. I did think as well in terms of Trevor Chalobah, who for me, I mean, The fact that this guy could potentially still be leaving in the summer is mental to me, because him alongside Levi Colwill, for me, there has to be a partnership at the back that we stick with, and we continue the remainder of these 8 games now for the season, and obviously the Conference League games. We have to have a centre-back partnership that Maresca is comfortable with, that the team is comfortable with. And I'll be honest, I think that has to include both Levi Colwill and Trevor Chalobah. Now, that is very unfortunate for someone like Tosin or Buddy Ashil. We know that Wesley Fofana, even up until today, the press conference that has just come out from Maresca, Wesley Fofana potentially could be out for the remainder of the season. We are going to do a match preview for Brentford tomorrow, so make sure you stick around for that one. We'll talk a bit more about those injuries in that video tomorrow. But we have to have a partnership that is consistent. And if Trevor Chalobah pulls out performances like he did last night against Spurs, and Levi Colwill, 22 years of age, looks like a natural leader. If the two of those can gel together and we can get both of those playing well, albeit against a team like Solanke that didn't really perform well, Son, Kulusevski, all of these players that didn't play well yesterday. They didn't play well yesterday. And I think if you can get a centre-back partnership that can play that way, constantly working together, reading the game together well, then you've got yourself a really good centre-back partnership, and alongside Cucurella or Malo Gusto or Reece James at right back, that's a solid back line. It's a solid back line. It really is. And I was really impressed with Chalobah, not just for the ball over the top in the first minute of the game, but just his reading of the game, as we know he's got in his locker. Just some last-ditch defending that he done last night as well. And he was, for me, even the other side of his game, where I think it's Levi Colwill that gets into a bit of a scuffle with Romero. Trevor Chalobah's the first one to the scene. We know that derby games, especially against Spurs, can be a bit heated, but Trevor Chalobah's straight in there, like defending his teammates. I love that side of the game as well, as much as the football. They're all a team. They got to defend each other at all costs. So, I think for me, Trevor Chalobah showed his commitment. And one of the things that Levi Colwill said yesterday as well, which even not being at the game, you could tell the noise from the fans at the last 10 minutes. You could sense that the fans believed that there was something happening in that game, and it was a really good performance. It was overall a really good performance from defence to attack, from the midfield. Moisés Caicedo. Is there a better midfielder out there than Moisés Caicedo right now in the world? I don't think there is. I generally don't think there's a better midfielder out there in the world of football that is better than Moisés Caicedo right now. I actually don't think there is. And if you do think there is, let me know who that is, because I personally don't think you're going to find another midfielder that plays the same way that Moisés Caicedo plays that is better than Moisés Caicedo. He's arguably making a lot of people eat their words. When he signed for Chelsea, there was a lot of doubt about the price tag, about his quality. Can he do it consistently? Can he have that step up into a bigger club than Brighton? He's ticking all those boxes right now. And Enzo Fernández as well is doing exactly the same. The goal was perfectly weighted pass crossing from Cole Palmer. As I said, Nicholas Jackson done his work off the ball. A lot of the runs that he was making it tricky for Spurs defence, but it was almost like a Frank Lampard goal. That last little burst into the box, last minute, straight there, unmarked. I can't remember if it's Spence or someone isn't, or it might be Van der Ven. It's one of the two, but they don't even look over their shoulder. They don't know that Fernandes is coming into the box, and bullet of a header straight into the goal. It was a goal. It was a brilliant goal, brilliant header. And, you can kind of see why we need to maybe move Enzo that little bit higher up the pitch, so he's got a bit more free reign to go in and drive and penetrate the box as he did. I thought it was brilliant, a brilliant goal. We do have to talk about some of the incidents in the game, because I actually think we should have won that game 2-0. I actually think we should have won that game 2-0. How on earth did the referee give our goal as a disallowed goal? I actually don't believe that. Was he offside? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. I personally, I don't think he was offside. And that is actually going to be one of the best goals that Moisés Caicedo has probably ever scored in his footballing career. It looked onside. I mean, again, you see another referee, they're going to give that as a goal. So it's tough to take because I think those kind of goals, it's like you're not allowed to celebrate them anymore. When those goals go in, I don't celebrate them. I wait for the VAR, wait to see if the reaction isn't instant for goals anymore. It was just, it was, for me, it's a goal. It's a goal. You're talking about a marginal offside, a marginal millimetre offside, if anything. And the fact they've had to check it for nearly 5 minutes tells you that it's not clear and obvious. Tells you that they're not sure. If you're not sure, you got to give the goal. Because it's almost like you're looking for something to make it an offside goal. If it isn't clear and obvious, and that you're having to watch something back and back again, time and time again, tells you that it's not clear and obvious. So give the goal. Now, the second incident involved Pape Sarr and Moisés Caicedo again. Again, he was getting himself about in that game yesterday. Now, I don't think there's a Spurs fan out there that can have a problem with that goal being disallowed. Now, there's two things I'll say, because I thought Robert Sánchez actually had a really good game. He wasn't always playing out from the back. He was actually going for the long ball at times as well, which maybe that's something Maresca said, you're not comfortable playing out from the back. Let's start using your long balls a little bit more. And it worked. He pulled off some really good saves throughout the game. One being, I think, later on into the game, I think it was Son, had a really good chance at the end, and he made almost a last ditch, saving the game moment where he almost dives across the goal. Made it a bit more for the cameras, I think, but made a meal out of it, but it's still a good save. But the goal that was disallowed, there's no way that Sánchez should even let that ball cross the line. Sarr shouldn't even be allowed to shoot from where he was. Now, I get that the players around Sarr after the challenge on Caicedo potentially would have switched off and were looking at the ref to blow the whistle. But even that, Sánchez has to score that because he's lucky that VAR overturns this. Now, Sarr, for me, it was a foul. It was a dirty foul. The studs are showing, 10, 20 years ago, you're probably applauding that for a really good tackle. But in the modern day game now, you can't even lift your foot that high and show your studs without it being a red card. Now, he might get the ball after, but he goes for the player to get the ball. It's a red card, and it's a foul, and the goal should be disallowed. And to see Ange Postecoglou cupping his ear to the fans after to the Spurs fans as well, not even to the Chelsea fans, to the Spurs fans. He's cupping his ear like that to say, I told you I know what I'm doing. He's on a tightrope, Ange. He's on a massive tightrope. You can't do that to your own fans. They're gonna have your guts for garters. But it was a foul. And I think any logical Spurs fan will tell you that it was a foul. The ref clearly, again, I don't know what they were checking on that VAR. I don't know how the ref missed it. I don't know why it took so long on VAR. VAR needs to change. If VAR is going to stay in, which it looks like it is, they have to improve it in the English game, because you look at other. I've said this before. You look at Spanish league, Italian league, the French league. They all get it spot on. They all get it spot on. There's no delay. There's no 10-minute delays. Last night there was 12 minutes of stoppage time. I think in the second half alone. I think there was 5 minutes in the first half. That's almost 20 minutes worth of football added onto a game of 90 minutes. VAR has to get better and get snappier, get quicker at these decision makings, because it shouldn't take that long to make. You can clearly see it on the screen. You can see all the players surrounding the referee or the linesman. They're clearly saying, look, you can see his foot is high. It's crazy. It's absolutely bonkers. But look, 3 points is 3 points. We're back in the top four. I think Newcastle still have that game in hand due to the Carabao Cup final. But we've got some good games coming up. Some tricky ones, but good games. And I feel like if I'm being 110% honest, I feel like this Tottenham game last night was probably the most difficult game out of all our 8 remaining fixtures. Yes, Forest will be a difficult game. Liverpool will be a difficult game. Everton will be a tricky game. But I just felt with this one, and this is, I think we've got the longest run. I think this is like our 34th win against Tottenham. So it's not to say that Tottenham can cause us problems, but you just look at the fixture list now. That felt like the game that we had to kind of win off the back of an international period of football, and also with injuries coming back as well. We had to get this win last night, and we did. And we done it convincingly as well. I was really impressed with Maresca. The subs made sense as well. You know, all the tactics, the tactical stuff, the changes that he made throughout the game made sense. You know, Noni Madueke got some minutes as well last night, which was really good for us. But I'll be honest, I wouldn't change much more. We're going to do a preview on the Brentford game tomorrow, but I wouldn't change much. I wouldn't change much in that like, lineup, because I think you got to stick with your two centre backs. Sánchez, theoretically, played actually really good last night, so we have to keep him in the sticks. But you know, Jackson again, you know, had some decent chances in that first half, second half. He has to get his match fitness back up again. Cole Palmer looked like his old self. Maybe, if I'm being heavily critical, maybe I bring on start Noni Madueke, put Pedro Neto to the left, and I'll put Sancho on the bench. But we're going to talk about all of that tomorrow in the match preview for Brentford on Sunday. Now, as I said, don't forget to subscribe, like the video. We're back in the top 4. Champions League is still on track. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Brentford preview.